If a box of Legion Imperialis falls in the forest, does anyone hear about it?
Maybe, because there's a lot of them dropping, apparently. Or there have been. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of amazing how much they've made for this game, actually. We just saw the release of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and I really love the format that they put out. Like, they released the battle groups for the other two forces, the Solar Auxilia and the Legions. They released them pretty late into their releases, and they have a ton of good stuff in it, and it's like a deal. And it's kind of nice to see them just launch with that box for the AdMech, so you can just buy basically an army and get going basically right away. And it suits the format really well because it is very much like a mishmash game. Like, you're supposed to sort of just take a battle group of these guys, mix it with a battle group of these guys, throw a Titan in there, maybe some Knights, and just start playing some games and stuff. And it's supposed to feel like a big war, right? So yeah, it kind of suits it really well.
Yeah, no, it's again, I've gone on many times about this. It's like, it is a super cool product. I'm still shook by how much they made to it. And I guess it makes sense if you really think about it, because yeah, you would need all these tanks and planes and whatever, bikes, all dreadnoughts, all these assets to make a grand war game like what it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. I
guess I didn't anticipate it would be packaged. I should have been known better in such a they're really like putting 4 little tanks in a box for $60 or whatever, which means that then you have to make a lot of these everything is a unique separate kit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this holds the game back, to be honest. I think the $200 whatever battle group boxes are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for someone like me who I legitimately sat down with the rule book. I was like, okay, I'm going to build a list here. Mm-hmm. And I realized that there's probably not a lot of super unique lists to build in the game. There's some. But I was oh my God, I need, it's not that, you need multiples of so many things.
Mm.
So then you go to you're like, how many boxes of this? And you're like, oh my God, I need 3 or 4 of this and 3 or 4, and an Imperialis army could easily cost more than a 40k army.
Yeah, no, that totally could.
It's a little nuts, and I was like, oh.
The kit prices kind of do throw your brain off if you haven't built the models. I'll say one thing. I'll say when you open them up, you're like, oh wow, these are extremely complex plastic kits, and I'm not trying to justify the price. I'm just trying to add sort of a context to it. Mm-hmm. You're not getting less plastic and less pieces than you're getting from a 40 save set. It just, to your point, doesn't go as far in the gameplay, right?
No, not when your 4 little tanks for $60 can get in a single volley removed from the table. You're kind of just
oh baby.
So then you're well, I need maybe I need 12 or more of these, and then you're oh, that's $200 of kits at least, or something, or maybe $300 a kit.
Yeah.
It starts to,
yep.
Some of them I don't mind, a single Thunderhawk in a box, but it's such a beautiful kit, and you probably only need a couple in your whole collection. I'm okay,
totally.
But the 4 Sicarins or 4 or whatever it is, some of them are great. There's a fast attack one that's just got I think it's got speeders and bikes and
javelins, land speeder, the other land speeder. It's got the jet bikes and the bikes.
Okay,
yeah.
But some of the vehicles really just oh my God. And then if you want to use, I think have they released rules or something? You can start building armies of just Titans, so that helps a bit.
And that's where the game has really started to get fleshed out with the latest releases. They've done a good job of building it up slowly and adding more list variety as the game's gone on. Mm-hmm. But that's one of the biggest changes in the Dark Mechanicum book that just came out. Mm-hmm. Is you can take a greater proportion of Knights and Titans now, or you can play in all of those lists. I mean, they're very one-dimensional and struggle to do objective-y things. Mm-hmm. So the kind of more common way to play them is to do the mishmash, where for every, I think there's a list for Mechanicum, or for every battle group of Mechanicum you can have a Knight or a Knight group or a Titan. Mm-hmm. So you can go 50-50. Mm-hmm. not points, 50-50 units, which is actually a lot more knights and titans, and you still have some objective grabbing guys.
Yeah.
Whereas traditionally you can only get I think it's 30%, right? Is the base rule?
Something like that. Yeah. You have to. Yeah. So. Yeah. So you're like if you got like a starter box. I guess if you use all of the products in there, it's like probably 1,000 points. I guess if you use everything,
maybe 15,
maybe
because you get the two Warhound.
Can you take the Warhound? Maybe.
Sorry,
maybe
you can't actually take them both. I don't think.
No.
I could be wrong about that.
If you include, technically, it is like
maybe it's close to 2,000 points
if you take them all.
If you could take them
but
all,
like if you're like, so I was like, I want just Space Marines. It was like, there's only like 500 points of Space Marines here.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of you kind of the battle groups is okay. I kind of wish they had more of these. Like for a dumb guy like me, I want just a big force box that's just like, can I just it could be really expensive, but just give me one big thing, and I don't want to have to think about all the things. Like especially because it is going to be likely. I mean, not for everyone, but I think for a good, maybe I'm wrong. I feel like there's a good chunk of people that are just like, it's not going to be their main game, probably.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
So
I'd have a hard time imagining that.
And part of that might be because there's also no Xenos. I think that's holding it back a little bit.
Another thing that holds the game back in a way is like if you want to do like really thematic lists, because for example, like you can take a lot of Terminators like when you write a list if you want to, but you can't really buy a lot of Terminators.
No, they don't have the little boxes. Just Terminators. Yeah, that's
another thing. I think like maybe they need to like Forge World needs to step in there and have like a blister pack of like just a lot of Terminators. Assault Marines are the same problem. Like you can't just like you have to be buying a million of these infantry boxes, and it's just oppressively expensive, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure people will be like, "Oh, the 3D printing world's kind of stepped in there." Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's fair. So that's a little bit of a problem with kind of how it's packaged, I think.
Yeah, and I don't recall. I mean, how much is the? I guess the base starter box is 2 and change. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a phenomenal deal. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like if you bought the starter box and each of the battle groups, like you'd have a ton of mishmash stuff you could do for a relatively decent price. You could make tons of armies out of those. But yeah, I don't know. It's in a weird place, right? Like it's a niche within a niche almost, right? Like so, like you almost have to be a fan of the Horus Heresy game first.
Yep.
So you're probably already a consumer of that. And then you also now have to like the epic scale stuff and want a second Horus Heresy game in your collection, which, I'm a freak. I do that.
Yeah.
There's enough of us out there or whatever. But we've definitely seen it was one of those games that was like really hot early on. And it's definitely fizzled off a lot in the recent months.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting thing. They're like, let's make these amazing kits, like really detailed. But in my head, I'm like, but it's little scale. I don't want to. Yeah, there's another barrier for me personally. Is I have this block of like, I really don't want to sit and assemble it. Like it's like, I will, but because I'm just like I've seen you guys. It takes days to build it all. It's nuts.
They're plastic kits, but like you're building like the rhinos, right? And you're literally building a rhino kit, but it's small. So you're putting like the little vents on the back or a couple pieces, and you're putting the side doors on. And the kits are incredible. Like the vehicle kits are so detailed.
But it's like some guys.
But you're literally building that.
Roll a die. 4 of that rhino's gone.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe if it got to move once, it did its job. Yeah? That's kind of how you think about the rhino. So yeah, I and obviously they're gonna hit a point with the game. They're probably not far off from already where they're gonna run out of stuff to release, right? And I mean that's always been a thing with Horus Heresy. Like there are limits to what you can do with the setting. So like, what's the staying power, something like that? And does that even matter? Does staying power matter? Is it if in 2 years that's just off the shelf entirely, and maybe it's a web order thing, or it's maybe they completely take it off their thing like they've done with some games before?
I don't know. Yeah.
Does that matter, or is that even a thing? Like,
you think it could follow the Aeronautica path or whatever, where just like
I don't know,
quietly fades away into oblivion.
Aeronautica was such a strange experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they learned some things from
It
Aeronautica.
faded. It came and faded so quickly. Like, even by their standards, it was like...
They really like having stuff under this Horus Heresy umbrella, like this Age of Darkness umbrella. So I think having that tag to it really helps it kind of stay relevant. It's like I said, I've always said this about Age of Darkness. It is very much like their historical game, right? Like, and because it's like their historical game, it has a little bit of that, like, I play World War II games vibe, where it's like, there's a little bit more of a slow burn to the purchasing. Like, people that play Bolt Action and Flames of War aren't concerned they're going to run out of Germans to buy.
Right.
They'll make their little purchases here and there. They'll maybe start a new army once in a while. It's a different mentality, I think. Like,
I guess once you own all these little tanks and planes, and you kind of just use them in different lists, and it doesn't have the same. And again, and also, because there's not all this Xenos, you're just kind of like, yep, this is the army for.
And it's for, let's be real, it's for an older crowd, right? Like, I think I don't see any 20-year-olds buying Imperialis or whatever.
I haven't seen us.
It's for us 30, 40-year-olds or whatever that remember Epic or have like the Horus Heresy boners or whatever, and we're the ones buying it. So. I think there's also, like, when you're in that age bracket, there's a little bit more of a slow burning purchase anyways, I think, obviously. Like, people are tend to buy things kind of slowly. It is one of their specialist games, so, like, they obviously don't have the same expectations for it that they would have for,
But they made so much.
They did. Make a tremendous amount of it.
Like, oh my God.
It is kind of nuts, actually,
Yeah.
This is why, like, I always go back to this of, like, this is why, like, I'm like, man, I still think there's going to be plastic Primarchs in Horus Heresy, because, like, I have a hard time having someone look me in the eye and tell me that they can't do it because of cost. When they're making like some of these specialist games, the things they're making for them, you're like, really? You think this will sell? You think a pack of mini saber tanks will sell better over time than a plastic Reboot Guilliman in Horus Heresy or Horus or like get it? Just leave right now. You're wrong.
This fuels a lot of my general disappointment with the Old World rollout. Is the same reason as they will push out cart out a box of old common goblins or something or whatever. It could be anything. And just not make a new thing. Like, they're just like, nah.
I know I don't want.
Really?
I know I don't want to.
Really?
Yeah.
And like
but here's an Escher upgrade kit.
Here's an Escher upgrade
in plastic for your Necromunda.
Yeah, you're like,
because we've decided to make this, and you're like, and I love that. I'm not hating on that, but it's just
we're not, or even
the logic doesn't always add up.
It's bizarre. Yeah, it is bizarre. We'll do this, but not that. Yeah. Are you playing Legion? Who's playing Legion?
I mean, people are going to be like 7 people.
Seven people? No, I don't even think that's happening.
This whole.
It's like I could ramble about in front of my little Warriors of Chaos army or whatever and get X views, but if I talk about Imperialis, it's not. You're not just getting. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're talking to the broccoli? Is that what you're saying?
You're talking to no one.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, it should be easy for me to get a spot at Adepticon then to play the game or whatever.
Yeah, not if the tournament's only 10 players or whatever. Like, they only make 4 tables available.
True.
Like, and you're in the side of the side room.
No, it's still a Games Workshop game. You think it's gonna?
No. You're right.
It's not War Machine.
It's in the big no. It's in the big room, but you're like,
Yeah. The big room, but you're in the corner. Like you're
like way in the corner. There's like a little strip of the end there. There's
Don't you forget it.
3 tables of you, but you feel like you're part of a big thing.
That's good.
Yeah,
it's good to feel included.
That's good. That's good.
It's all about how you feel at the end of the day.
How you feel.
Oh man! Wow.
I love how many takes we generate based purely on how big the room a game has at Adepticon. It's like, I wish it wasn't because it's such a visual. I'm gonna do the Trump hands here or whatever. It's such a.
It's visual.
It's like
it's so visual.
You just can't like. Is you like, how do you go 1 year and you're like, oh, this is large room and there's so many people in it, and the next year and they're like, the room, they were in a much smaller room. And then,
We're arguing about crowd sizes. Is that what we're doing right now?
I'm just saying, like,
You know what's funny? That's such an online thing, though. Like, people will be like, no, my gaming club has this many players, or
Right.
I was an event with this many players, and they're like, it's all about crowd size arguing or whatever.
yes,
It's
like,
yeah. It's kind of funny.
and then we come back and we're like, I don't know, like it's hard not to take that visual and not.
I mean, the
run
funny
with it
thing
a
of
little
like
bit.
it does matter to some degree. Like if you get a big crowd, like let's say just like this year tournament for Old World, tournament for Legions Imperialis,
Right.
you had 40 players in both. Okay, I would bet my entire life that the Legions Imperialis players spent far more money on Games Workshop products in the last 12 months
Oh, yeah.
than the Warhammer World War players did, right?
Yes.
And that's ultimately what we're usually talking about, right? We're talking about like when we're arguing about like, oh,
Success.
so what if an event had this many players?
Yeah.
It's not generating necessarily
Yeah,
money
that's
in
true.
the same way, right? So whereas the Legions Imperialis is punishingly expensive for
Yeah,
those that are like
Yeah.
playing tournaments and doing
Yeah.
stuff with it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to avoid buying new stuff for a brand new game,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah, well, we gave you a little bit of garbage time, even though this video
yeah.
is not long enough. But we have to open the store now, I think.
We
so,
do. Yeah, mostly
Oops.
garbage.
This is one of the problems with we're trying to fit in all these videos, but we also have a real job or whatever, unfortunately.
I mean, let's be honest, we don't actually have that many
real
ideas.
job.
So
That's true. That's
if,
true.
Even if we had more time, I couldn't give you any more today. To be honest,
I've got no more.
there's just nothing going. I mean,
That's all there is.
Things are so routine in the miniature world in the last 24 months.
It's true. We need to shake it up a little
There's
bit.
not
Where's
enough
the drama?
There's not enough crazy drama.
We need to start a fight with another small YouTube channel. Not a big one, but a small one. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we vanquished the Malfo people pretty easily or whatever. And then there was. And then
No,
there
man,
was, and then Night Models, no one showed up to fight at all. No one cared. That
There's
was
no fight left in those people.
It's not,
There's no fight
I've
left.
never seen such a more beaten down community than the Night Models people.
Oh man. Yeah.
Oh, like we had 3 guys from Massachusetts fighting us about Malfo, but Night Models, nothing.
They rallied up the whole crew, Massachusetts
The
crew.
entire crew.
Yeah, and
I like
they-
what you did there. The henchman, the master.
Yeah.
And,
Oh
yeah.
man.
There's also no War Machine people. It's like
There's some War Machine people.
GW's just beat up so many people.
Oh, it's a bruised and
It's like a
battered.
prize fighter. You can't find anyone to
It's like
get
this guy's got
a
the belt,
title
and
fight
it's
with.
like, who? He's just Achilles in the field. Is there no one else?
Is there no one else?
Is there no one else? There isn't anyone else. There isn't, unfortunately. It's just this is the world we live in. So you better like Games Workshop because it's here to stay.
Yep. Yep. And pretty soon it'll be the only one,
Ooh, that's ominous. Very ominous.
probably. I don't know.
I don't know. It's very hard to even massive multinational companies can't usually ever get 100% market saturation.
No.
Not unless they can get the government to basically
Yeah.
create rules.
Make
that keep
everything
them-
else
yeah.
illegal. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yikes. Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I don't know what the hell it was about. It was about something.
This was our weekly,
It's about a
almost
game I can't
full
remember,
garbage time video. Yeah.
It's still around. What do you guys think about? Are you upset if there's a game you really like and you're like, oh, I'm so glad they made this, and then it just doesn't have the staying power necessarily, or the market to like be long term? Does that like bother you, or are you just happy they made it and you're happy you got to buy it and happy you got to enjoy it? That's usually our position on things. It's
Yeah.
like it's just I mean that's life, right? Like you got to kind of enjoy things while they last. That's sort of how
Yep.
everything is. Nothing is forever, right?
That's it,
So
exactly.
I think if you can take some enjoyment out of something, then you've ultimately won at your hobby. You've won at everything, yeah. So like and comments if you have something to say. We love reading your comments. And check us out on Patreon. We're getting quite the following there, and it's helping us, I don't know, make more videos and feel inspired to kind of make the channel a little bit bigger. So thanks, guys. Until
Thanks.
next time.
Bye.